Welcome to Propeller Breeze, the show for student pilots, sim fans, and everyone chasing that first solo and beyond. All information in this podcast is for entertainment and general knowledge only. Always verify with certified flight instructors or regulatory authorities before attempting anything mentioned here.
Have you ever looked up at a plane, carving a turn through the sky or maybe climbing steadily, and just wondered how exactly is it doing that? Especially if you're just starting out, learning to fly. It seems like turning a plane should be like turning a car.
Right? Yeah, that's common thought.
But, well, it's really not. It's much more of an elegant dance with physics, really. Flight isn't just about going straight. It's this three-dimensional ballet.
It really is.
So our mission today on the deep dive is to unpack the core aerodynamic forces, the ones that are really at play when an aircraft does those basic things you'll be practicing soon. Turns, climbs, descents.
Right.
We want to give you a shortcut sort of to understanding how the plane reacts when you move the controls. Make that abstract physics stuff feel practical,
Ready for the cockpit.
Exactly. And we're drawing from some excellent foundational material today, specifically aerodynamic forces, turns, climbs, and descents. It's pretty much essential reading for pilots.
Our goal is just to break down these sometimes complex ideas into insights you can actually use, turning those moments where you go, into aha moments during your flight training.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Maybe start with the turn, because that seems to be the most counterintuitive one for a lot of new pilots.
Definitely.
If you're thinking it's like steering a car or even a boat, well, get ready for a bit of a mind shift, because in straight and level flight, it's all balance, right? Lift straight up, weight straight down.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second you start that turn, that balance changes fundamentally.
How so?
Well, when an aircraft banks, the total lift from the wings, it doesn't act straight up anymore, fighting only weight.
Okay.
Instead, it tilts inward, towards the center of the turn you want to make. And this is key because, Newton's first law, inertia.
Right, an object in motion stays in motion.
Exactly. In a straight line, unless some force pushes or pulls it sideways. For a plane to turn, you need that sideward force. And banking the wings, that's how you generate it.
Ah, okay, so banking creates the turning force.
Precisely. Think of your total lift like a rope pulling up from the wing when you're level.
Okay.
When you bank, you're literally tilting that rope. Part of its pull is still vertical, holding you up against gravity, that's the vertical component of lift.
That's it.
But now, another part of that pull is acting sideways, horizontally, pulling you into the turn. That's the horizontal component of lift. And that horizontal part, that's your true centripetal force. It's the force actually changing your direction.
Okay. That makes sense. But here's where I think it gets really interesting and maybe confusing for new pilots. The rudder.
Ah, yes, the rudder.
It does not turn the aircraft like a car's steering wheel, does it? That's a huge misconception.
And it absolutely is. The rudder's main job is correcting yaw. That's the nose swinging left to right around the vertical axis.
Right.
It's there to keep the nose and tail tracking neatly along the same path, lined up with the relative wind, the air flowing over the wings.
So you use it when rolling into the turn, maybe? To keep things coordinated?
Exactly. You might need a touch of rudder, especially when initiating the roll, to counteract something called adverse yaw and keep the nose pointed where you're going. But once you're in a nice, stable, coordinated turn, you generally don't need constant rudder pressure.
Interesting.
It's a fundamental thing to grasp. The aircraft wants to turn whenever it's banked. Pilots need to remember that even just trying to fly straight, if you start drifting, check your bank angle first. Even a tiny unintentional bank will start a turn.
Okay, so banking creates the turn. But what about staying level? You mentioned lift gets split.
Right. And this is a big one for maintaining altitude in a turn. Because when you split that total lift into vertical and horizontal parts, the vertical part, the one holding you up, gets smaller.
Ah, so you'd start sinking.
Potentially, yes, if you don't compensate. To stay at the same altitude, you, the pilot, need to gently increase the angle of attack, the AOA.
By pulling back slightly on the yoke.
Yep. You're basically asking the wing to bite into the air a bit more, to work harder and generate more total lift overall. Enough so that the vertical component still matches the aircraft's weight.
So you need more total lift in a turn just to stay level than you do in straight and level flight.
That's exactly it, a crucial point. The vertical component must equal weight to hold altitude. That increased AOA gets you there.
Okay, so what does that mean for managing the plane? Like for airspeed and power? Because increasing AOA sounds like it might have side effects.
It does. Increasing the angle of attack also increases something called induced drag.
The drag that comes from creating lift itself, right?
Precisely. It's the cost of producing lift. And it gets higher when the wing is working harder, like at higher AOAs in a turn.
And more drag means?
Means your airspeed will start to drop unless you add power.
So that's why you often need to add throttle in a turn.
Yes. You need that extra thrust to counteract the extra induced drag and maintain your airspeed. And the amount of extra power you need, it's pretty much proportional to your bank angle. Steeper bank, more induced drag, more power required.
That's something I think a lot of students initially resist a little, adding power when they're already focused on the bank.
It can feel like juggling multiple things for sure, but understanding why that you're fighting increased drag makes it click.
Right. Makes sense. Now, what about how quickly you turn, the rate of turn?
Okay, yeah. The rate of turn, or ROT, depends directly on how strong that horizontal component of lift is.
The sideways pulling force?
Exactly. Which, in turn, is proportional to your angle of bank. So generally, more bank means a faster rate of turn.
Okay.
Now, here's another layer. If you want to keep the same rate of turn, but your airspeed increases, you actually need to increase your bank angle too.
Why is that? More speed should mean turning faster, shouldn't it?
Well, think about the feeling of being pushed outward in a turn. That sensation, often called centrifugal force, is really just inertia resisting the turn. It gets stronger as your speed increases.
Okay.
So at higher speeds, you need a larger horizontal lift component, meaning a steeper bank, to overcome that stronger outward push and maintain the same rate of turn. The turn radius gets bigger too.
Gotcha. It's all interconnected. Now, what about when things go wrong? Those turning errors pilots dread. Slips and skids.
Right, slips and skids. They're all about the balance or imbalance between bank angle and rate of turn.
Let's take the slipping turn first. What's happening there?
A slip is when you have too much bank for your rate of turn. The horizontal lift component is actually stronger than that outward centrifugal effect.
So you slide inwards.
Yeah, the aircraft effectively yaws towards the outside of the turn but slides sideways into the center. You feel like you're falling towards the inside of the turn in your seat.
Then the fix.
You need to balance it out. Either decrease the bank angle or increase the rate of turn, perhaps with a bit of rudder or a combination.
Okay. And the opposite, a skidding turn.
That's when your rate of turn is too high for the amount of bank you're using.
So not enough inward pull.
Exactly. Centrifugal force is winning, pushing the aircraft towards the outside of the turn. Like a car sliding wide on a corner, you'll feel pushed outwards in your seat.
And the correction there?
Reduce the rate of turn, maybe ease off the rudder if you were using too much, or increase the bank angle to generate more horizontal lift. Learning to feel and correct these is really fundamental.
Yeah.
Think about it. A fast jet at 400 miles per hour needs something like a 44-degree bank just for a standard rate turn. The forces involved get significant.
Wow. Okay, mastering turns is clearly crucial, but let's shift gears vertically. Climbs. You pull back, nose comes up, plane goes up. Seems simple, but what's the aerodynamic story?
Well, the initial action is simple enough. Pulling back increases the AOA, right? Yeah. That momentarily makes lift greater than weight, and that imbalance starts the climb. But here's the interesting bit.
Okay.
Once you're established in a steady climb, flying up that inclined path, the wing's lift and its angle of attack relative to that path actually settle back to pretty much the same values they had in level flight at that same airspeed.
Really? So lift equals weight again in a steady climb?
Not quite. Lift will be slightly less than weight in a steady climb, but the angle of attack relative to the climbing flight path is similar to level flight AOA. The key is the direction of forces.
Okay. But if the AOA is similar, why does my airspeed drop if I just pitch up without adding power?
Ah, good question. It's because of weight. When you're climbing, your flight path is tilted upwards.
Right.
So a component of the aircraft's total weight now acts rearward, parallel to that flight path. It's like gravity is pulling slightly backwards and downwards relative to your direction of travel.
Adding to the drag.
Exactly. It effectively increases the total resistance the engine has to overcome. So if you don't add power, that extra drag from the weight component slows you down.
Which means you need more power to climb at the same airspeed you held level.
Precisely. The thrust needed for level flight just isn't enough anymore. You need excess thrust.
Excess thrust.
That's the key to sustaining a climb. The thrust required equals the normal drag plus that rearward component of weight. And how big that weight component is depends on your climb angle.
So steeper climb, more rearward weight component, need more excess thrust.
You got it. Maybe a 10-degree climb needs thrust to equal drag, plus, say, 17% of the aircraft's weight. That's why you push the throttle forward.
And if you run out of excess thrust,
That's your absolute ceiling, the point where even at full power, you just can't climb anymore. All available thrust is just balancing drag in that weight component.
and this relates to things like V and Vogue climbs we practice.
Absolutely. VX is your best angle of climb, gets you highest over a short ground distance, great for clearing obstacles. VX is your best rate of climb, gets you highest in the shortest time. Both depend on having sufficient excess thrust, but they optimize it differently based on airspeed and drag.
Okay, fascinating stuff. So climbs need excess power. Now, what goes up?
Must come down. Descents.
Right. Let's talk about controlled descents. How do those forces change?
It's kind of the mirror image of a climb in
Right.
some ways. When you push the yoke forward to start a descent, you momentarily decrease the AOA.
Okay.
That reduces your total lift to slightly less than weight. And that imbalance, weight being greater than lift, causes the aircraft to start descending.
But you're not like falling out of the sky.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's important not to confuse that temporary reduction in lift with suddenly being unable to fly.
Yeah.
You're just tilting the flight path downwards by momentarily making weight win the tug-of-war.
Got it. And the power situation. If climbs need more power to maintain speed.
Then descents often need less power to maintain the same airspeed you held in level flight.
Why is that?
It's that weight component again. But this time, because your flight path is angled down, a component of the aircraft's weight acts forward along the flight path.
Ah, so gravity is kind of helping you along.
Exactly. It's effectively assisting your thrust. So if you kept the same power setting as level flight, you'd actually speed up in the descent. To hold a constant airspeed, you typically need to reduce power.
That makes managing speed on approach much clearer, whether it's a powered descent or even a glide.
Absolutely. Understanding how weight helps or hinders you, depending on the flight path angle, is key to managing energy.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. Let's try and summarize the big takeaways for someone learning to fly.
Sure. So for turns, it's all about the bank. Banking creates that horizontal lift component, the centrifugal force that actually pulls you around the corner.
In the rudder.
Rudder is for coordination, fighting yaw, keeping things smooth. It doesn't steer the turn itself in the way most people think. And remember, you need to increase AOA, often needing more power, to maintain altitude and airspeed because of that split lift and increased induced drag.
Right, then climbs.
Climbs need excess thrust. You've got to overcome drag, plus that rearward component of weight pulling you back along the climb path.
More power needed.
Generally, yes. And descents.
Descents often need less power to maintain airspeed because a forward component of weight is actually helping your engine out.
You nailed it. Those are the core ideas.
It really brings home how every single input you make, yoke, rudder, throttle, it's all part of this precise dance with these invisible aerodynamic forces.
It's not magic, it's physics. And once you understand the principles, you gain so much more control and confidence. So maybe a final thought for you to chew on as you continue training. Think about how these forces are always interacting, even simple maneuvers. For example, next time you practice engine-out procedures, how does knowing about that forward weight component in a glide help you judge your approach?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Or if you feel yourself starting to slip or skid in a turn, how does understanding the balance between horizontal lift and inertia help you diagnose and fix it quicker?
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, applying the why to the what you're doing in the cockpit.
Exactly.
This foundational knowledge really does translate directly into flying safer, flying more precisely, and just feeling more confident up there. Keep those questions coming, everyone, and we'll keep diving deep.
That's it for this episode. Keep your wings level, your brain sharp, and catch you next time in the pattern. Thanks for riding with Propeller Breeze.